This is an open letter to Uncle Sam. Dude, or whoever is in charge of Uncle Sam at this moment in time. Dude, the thing is, it's not going so well. It doesn't sound so well. It's this you guys are basically starting a very international situation by taking offense at China. It's like, oh, it's offensive to us that the Chinese want to have a regional control over a sea that is named after them. Basically, you're saying that we don't expect to have you guys, who is the sea is named after, to have a regional control as a police of this region, and as long as you promise to treat everybody fairly, just like we treat our people fairly, I guess. As long as you treat everybody in the region fairly, and you be a big brother to them and treat everybody fairly, and yeah, you're good to go. We don't need to be there. Just like China doesn't need to be in the Gulf of Mexico, trying to hold some kind of freedom of navigation between Cuba and Florida. You want gunboats, Chinese gunboats around Cuba, patrolling Cuban waters. You don't want that. And saying that, but we want our patrol boats to patrol around Taiwan, it's like saying, the Chinese saying, we want our patrol boats, having right of way around Cuba, within 100 miles of Uncle Sam. It can be done, but why? You see what I'm saying? It's sort of like Uncle Sam would not stand for it. Just like the Cuban Missile Crisis, Uncle Sam did not stood for it. You can't have a base 100 miles away from my shore. Fuck you. And the logic was right. It was too close for comfort. And, they made a deal, I guess. Thank God for that. So before problems arises here, Uncle Sam, is that imagine the Chinese, gunboats patrolling Cuban waters as an ally, for example. Not pleasant. If you're trying to bring war close, a global fuck with these ever more powerful and fast and basically each side is sitting on a mine. Don't imagine this fucking thing coming from air. Imagine it is underground. That imagine this guy has some dynamite under his ass, and that guy has some dynamite under this guy's ass. And they're sitting, and they're staring at each other. It's sort of like, if you explode your dynamite under my ass, I'm going to explode my dynamite under your ass. And you're both gonna, turn this lovely planet into a bunch of rubble, and we're going to go live under Earth like rats, because the radiation for a considerable time is not going to be, suitable for contact by living organisms. So for a long time, We have to, after a nuclear war, we have to leave the surface and go live under Earth, underneath. And those few that survive. And you're like, okay. I mean, yeah, Elon Musk is thinking ahead with this boring company. It's sort of like, okay, let's make a lot of holes underground because these motherfuckers, it's not clear whether, the way things are going, if you have a lot of holes underground with his Hyperloop, if we have a lot of holes on the ground, maybe we can save a lot more people if these fuckers start a nuclear war. But then the life is going to be rad. We have to eat each other. And will life be able to restart on Earth after a nuclear war? And the nuclear winter? So, who has the larger penis is a young man's game, usually. So hopefully both sides are not young, they're old, so I hope they don't, consider having who has a bigger penis contest. I think, you would think that you guys by this time would have figured out that these lines that you have on Earth are imaginary. These border lines, these are imaginary. Some people imagine the line should be here, and some people imagine the line should be there. And but it's all your imagination. There are groups of people living around each other in different parts of this geography. Different people living along clusters together. They're clusters of people, and that's why at border areas you see these clusters, more sticky situation than you would like. Their loyalties at the borders of these imaginary lines, their loyalties become a little sloppy. So Mr. Joe Arpaio has to come and try to cleanse the brown out, maybe try to salvage something out of Arizona. These imaginary lines that you have on land are imaginary. Borders are imaginary. It's basically a person given himself the right to draw the line based on his understanding. And if he has a bigger penis, he can draw the line farther down. But still, it's an imaginary line because people don't live on the border. Nobody lives on the border. Some live on the 100-mile this side of the border. Most live on the 100-mile that side of the border. So these lines are figments of your imagination. So when you consider those are figments of your imagination, the imaginary lines of who has control over what, who is in good condition. Basically, imagine that if the Chinese befriend the Canadians really good, the Chinese send a lot of money and help and support to Canadians as long as Canadians oppose Uncle Sam. As long as Canadians oppose Uncle Sam, China is willing to, just pump money into Canada. What do you think is going to happen? Uncle Sam is going to be very pissed. That what the fuck is happening here? Why are you banging the Chinese, Mr. Pink skin on the north? And this is a situation that has been created between Taiwan and Uncle Sam, that the Chinese are like, what the fuck, man? This is uh, this is an island 100 miles off my coast. I don't know how many miles, just saying, off coast of my coast. It's like, you know, I send warships to try to protect Cuba from, you know, their imaginary friend, which is Uncle Sam. Again, these feuds that you have on Earth, these feuds over over economic systems and over political systems, and just basically over who's the boss. Well, whoever the fuck the boss is right now, let it be, because changing of the bosses costs a lot of lives. Changing of the bosses. You see, if this area of Earth has this boss already established, whatever the shitty it is, however shitty that boss is, in a way, the people deserve exactly as much central force that is needed to keep them in order. The Swedish system doesn't have to exert a lot of force to keep order, because everybody is, you know, very intelligent, recognizes that order is good. Okay, we keep order. Order is better for all of us. So as long as these shitholes in Africa, Asia, whatever, as long as they're holding order and not killing a lot of people, I mean, some people, there are always casualties. There are always a few that, you know, don't mix and match, have, you know, different ideas. But if there are so few in relative to the main population, then let the few ones, you know, come out and, you know, give them refuge, and let keep the establishment, whatever established that is fucking keeping order, remain, and in fact start trading with it. So hopefully through trade and talks and trade and talks and trade and talks and exchange of people, hopefully you get a better understanding of each other. So hopefully you can, you know, trust more, not less. In order to trust more, you got to talk more, trade more, exchange more, in order to understand better, bring up the trust level. Well, here's the thing, Uncle Sam. The thing with the Iranians, it's a matter of trust issue. You don't trust them and they don't trust you. That's all it is. It's a trust issue. They think, just like the Chinese, they think they should be in charge of, you know, the Chinese want to be in charge of South China Sea. They got the name in it. If they got the name in it, you can leave it to regional powers to control the regional issues. Not control, but be the bigger brother in regional issues. Here's the thing, Uncle Sam. You're trying to micromanage the planet Earth. Well, the problem with micromanaging planet Earth, you can manage planet Earth from afar, but you don't need to get your hands dirty micromanaging planet Earth, Uncle Sam. Here's this opportunity that Uncle Sam can start, you know, colonizing these planets, other planets, and forget about colonizing other parts of Earth. Here's the thing. The thing about colonizing that you guys apparently don't appreciate is that colonizing is basically micromanaging different parts of Earth. One race deciding that we want to micromanage other parts of Earth. We got our societies, our own societies in order. Now we want to micromanage other societies, pick and choose leaders for them, and tell them how to lead. Uncle Sam, this micromanaging ish thing is, it's not. It's expensive. For one thing, it's expensive. If you have to micromanage, that is basically have boots on the ground in different all parts of Earth, it's expensive, awfully expensive. But because you can get and a U.S. MP would cost Uncle Sam about $300 a day to keep, some kind of order in one little corner of Iraq or Afghanistan, any of these, or Turkey, or Egypt. You gotta pay $300 a day to micromanage that shithole? No, you can. If you have to pay $300, you know how many Afghanis can you hire for $300 a day to keep order in that little shithole? With $300 you can get 30 Afghanis per day with good salary to keep order. You see what I'm saying? You get one MP or you get 30 Afghani police to police themselves. That's a lot cheaper. I mean, you can, even if you have to pay half the country to police the other half, still cheaper. It's like even if you have to have half the country as policing the other half, it's still cheaper than having 100,000, 50,000, 40,000, 30,000 boots on the ground. It's the micromanaging part that is, and it's pissing everybody off. The micromanaging of little shitholes, colonies, on behalf of the British, with help of the British, with the invitation of the British, micromanaging these little shitholes, conquering them, reconquering them, and reconquering them. It's like, how many times Afghanistan has been reconquered by the British up to now? It's like, I think it's their third time. It's a shithole. And once in a while somebody comes and bangs her and turns into a war shithole. God forgive me. I don't understand this. Not I, we. Don't understand this. We don't. It's sort of like, if regional power like Soviet Union wanted to bring some kind of order in that part of the world, but it's their own neighborhood. The whole idea of the British to convince Uncle Sam to help the Free Mujahideen to do what? Free to do what? Free to live like pigs? The regional power was trying to bring some kind of order to a neighboring country, but you poured, money and shit in and said, nope, we gotta fight their economic system. Fight for your freedom. Tell them you want to be free to live like pigs. Now you see what happens? So much expense, sending $300 a day per boot on the ground in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in here and here, in Somalia, in every little shithole, and these were they all used to have some kind of order, but then apparently that order was not good enough. And Uncle Sam decided you know what, I think we can bring better order here. This motherfucker here, he's not keeping good order. What the fuck you want him to do? He's keeping order. It's all about order or disorder. If people understand democracy, they will have democracy. If they don't understand democracy, people, the form of government of people is, very relevant to the degree of their, understanding of the world around them. You wanna, you want to bring, democracy to 6 tribes of Africa that are now confined to be one country, and these 6 tribes, the whole system of tribal system is that the one with the biggest penis becomes the chief of the tribe. Now you have 5 big penises that have to agree on something, all 5 of them, in an African country. No, they're not. They're gonna pick and choose sides, and they're going to try to kill the other side until all the other tribe is eliminated. So in such a mentality, you think democracy actually has... They're not there yet. They're not there. And those few that were there, like Patrice Lumumba, that was there, and he was actually trying to, see what is the benefit of his people and execute that, you order his execution. And you bring a puppet. Like, like in case of Iran, a governor. Shah of Iran was not a king. Kings are not chosen by the foreign ambassador of another country. The first Reza Shah was chosen by the British, and Shah was chosen by my love, Uncle Sam. So, what do you want me to do? The people basically, a couple of them realized that we are being, manipulated by a governor he himself is, he's not the governor, he's not the king, he's a governor. He's answering to somebody else. He's working on behalf of a foreign power. He's governing us. Although he's one of us, but he's governing us. He's not, he's taking orders. The Iranians, here's the thing, again, I went over this in another video. Iranians are what you call hard-headed. As I said, because of situation with geography and being the bottleneck of the Silk Road, the Iranians are hard-headed. They're hard ass. Difficult to get, because they have been the police. If you allow them, they're keeping order, because keeping order is in their blood. That's what they do in, the bottleneck of the Silk Road. You keep order. That's why one of the first civilization developed around there at the bottleneck of the Silk Road, the area between the Caspian Sea and the Persian Gulf. First civilizations formed over there because it was one of the main crossroads of the world. It was the main crossroad of the world because everybody had to pass through this bottleneck. So you form an order so everybody can pass orderly, and everybody will be thankful. Is thankful for keeping order. So Iraqis, Saddam was keeping order. All you had to do is continue trading with him and keep it normal, and they wouldn't have been a problem. The reason he invaded Kuwait is because you were embargoing him. You were sanctioning him as well over some shit or other. I don't know. I don't remember. But you've always, the United States started with Iraq, and basically over different things. First, you convinced them to, had their back to attack Iran. Then you know, sold arms to Iranians as well. You know, the all over scandal. And you were selling arms to both sides, two regional powers that they had their own order. In their region, they had order. That means order means, you know, lives not lost. That's order. Lives not lost. And that's a good thing. You know, we don't have any problem with lives not being born. Contraception should be available everywhere. In all continents. There is too many of you. Too many of us. Too many of us. It's like, you know, contraception should be available. Have children only when you absolutely surely want them. Don't have them if you're not sure. If you're not sure, you better contracept it. Before conception, after conception, who cares? As long as, you know, you don't have to create a life that you are ill prepared to take care of. If you are ill prepared to take care of a life that you're about to create, don't create. It's like having no food. Imagine you're in a box. Imagine you're in a box between planets, and you don't want to conceive. Let's say the journey is for 3, 4, 5 years. You don't want to conceive because there are no rations for the kid. So imagine something like that. When you are not in a condition to take care of a kid, you still want, you know, sexual stimulation, but you don't have the condition of taking care of the kid. So you don't have a kid. Contraception should be available, widely encouraged. So, yeah, there's too many. But stop, you don't need to kill each other. Folks, these are imaginary lines. Everybody should take care of their own backyard. Don't start a nuclear war over shit. Beautiful planet, beautiful countries all around. You have built. Well, why not just, you know, enjoy it together instead of, you know, let's see who has the biggest penis match.